the second part of today's program, Advanced IXACT, we're going to really cover where part one showed you how to set up your campaigns. Part one showed you how to set up campaigns, set up your keep in touch and set it and forget it systems. Part two of today's program is more centered around getting your contacts into the system and making sure those emails start going out. So let's dig in, and this section of the program is a little bit shorter, but if you combine the two, set up your programs, now you'll know how to get your contacts into the system. And now by just getting these two parts of the program all working in your IXACT, you are using 80% of the functionality of the system. And like I said, I'm going to put together a third class on even more advanced options, like setting up your activity plans and setting up teams. But if you get down everything we covered in part one and then start adding contacts like we're going to cover in part two, you're well on your way to a very successful 2022 and beyond. So part two of today's program is IXACT Advanced. So as a reminder, because we're covering once again getting contacts into the system, we are it's important to get the app set up. I mentioned earlier, you got to be in the business of collecting names and email addresses, because that's your gold. It's staying in touch with everybody you know so they cannot forget you. So it's so important to make sure you have the IXACT app. So go to your iTunes or your Android or Google Play Store, go find the app and download it. And so that you have a nice, simple way just to add new contacts into the system on a daily basis. Importing contacts, I mentioned in part one that we would spend a little more time on importing contacts. Here's what you need to know about importing contacts. When you are in the main menu, on the upper right-hand side of the screen, that's how you usually get to your user profile, to that little circle with a person in it. That's your user profile. If you look to the left of that button, there's this little box with an arrow going up and an arrow going down. That's your import export button. So that's the button you're going to go to in order to import or export clients. Once you get in there, you will find a couple things you can do. You can import your contacts. Now, I recommend that if you're not super tech savvy, I would call IXACT and have them do it for you. They're happy to get it all set up for you, but it's also not that difficult to just import your own. It does tell you exactly how to set up your spreadsheet so you can upload your contacts. But you'll see once you click on that little square in the upper right-hand corner, you'll then get these three tabs: utilities, importing. So under the utilities button, you can export contacts. Then there's another tab for importing contacts. And then there's a third button for merging duplicates. In case you have multiple databases from multiple places that you're importing, there is an easy way to merge together all the duplicate contacts that come in. Okay, so let's talk about adding contacts. On every page, as you use the dashboard in IXACT, on every page, you'll see over on the right-hand side. So what's interesting about the way IXACT is set up is that always on the left-hand side is your menu. So over here, you got your menu, and always on the right-hand side is all of your contacts. So on the left-hand side, you got your menu. On the right-hand side is your contacts. And then in the middle, it's whatever you've clicked on. So it's very easy to add a contact because that little add button is on every single page of IXACT. Once you click on add contact, it brings up 11 sections to each contact tab. So there are 11 sections, like main contact information, spouse, partner, personal email, / letter setup, home address, work details, etc. You're not going to set that up on every single one. You're going to find a few key screens that you use mostly, but anytime you want to expand one, you're just going to hit the little plus button next to the name of the section. So again, there's 11 sections. You don't need to go into all of them. We'll walk you through it on the ones you need to know. But you have to be collecting emails like nobody's business. So you want to collect names, phone numbers. I think occupation is a good idea, birthdays, address, closing day, so you can send out those anniversary emails, etc. Okay, let's look at adding a contact. So like I mentioned, the add contact is on the right-hand side of your screen on every page you go to within IXACT. So you don't have to go find the add contact button. It's constantly on every single page. Once you click add contact, we're going to go to the first of the 11 sections. The first section is just the main contact information, because for some people, that's all you're going to have. Is you're just going to have a name, phone number, email address, and that's it. So sometimes that's all you're going to add. But so main contact, and this one I set up a live one. So I put first name was Happy, last name is Buyer. I set up a mobile phone number. And I want this person in my mass email. So you can see I keep that checked. I then set up their email address. And if for some reason I did not want this person, like when I send out listing announcements, to get my emails, I can take them off here. I don't see why you would take anybody off. I would include everybody in all of the emails. So I'm going to keep that checked. You can add their spouse and partner if you want that person, if you want the spouse or partner to also receive your emails. And I say, why not? If you have the information, just put it in there. Here you can add the home address. This is good if you're going to be doing mailings or labels. So if, as you're adding people, if you have a home address for them, put it in there. It's so convenient at holiday time when you can just print out labels in 5 minutes instead of trying to go rummage and find information for past customers. So if you have the home address, put it here, because the system makes it very easy to print labels or print letters or cards. Very easy to do. So if you have the home address, put it in. Also, this home address page, even if you do not have, probably if you sold them the house, you have the home address, but here's where you also put in that move-in anniversary date. So the move-in anniversary date is important because many of you are going to want to use that move-in anniversary email, the set it and forget it email. So if you're going to be putting that in, you're going to put it under the home address. So most likely, if you know their move-in date, you also know their address. So don't be lazy, just put in the address as well. Next, you can add work details. This is important if you want to add the person to your business directory, which I'm going to cover in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, we're going to talk about how you can use that business directory. But as you're adding a new contact, if you want the contact to be in your business directory, you will want to add them here. So let's say that the contact you're adding is a mortgage person, then you're going to put in all the information about their company. So like the name, address, phone number of the company, the business type, and then you're going to press this little button that says include this in the business directory. And we'll show you how that plays out in a minute. But also, let's say you're entering a customer, your buyer or seller, and your buyer has a landscaping business. And you say to your customer, would you like to be included in my business directory so that when customers are looking for landscapers, I can refer you. And in that instance, you would put your customer, your buyer or seller client, also all their work information in, and then you could also include them in the business directory by checking the box. Next, you want to put your contact status. So if it's a current client, and then what type of client, is it a buyer, a seller, a tenant, an investor, a prospect? There's all different types of client types, and you can modify your list. So if you want very specific client types, you can modify your list under contact status. And then it also allows you to set up groups of contacts. So this is cool. Like you're going to have maybe alumni, people you went to school with, or your A-list customers, the ones you're working on, or the B-list customers that you're developing, or your book club. So this allows you, when you're sending out like emails, if you want to send out emails to very segmented groups, like your book club, to invite them to something, or your A-list to invite them to a client appreciation event. This allows you to just put people into groups. As a reminder, you can always modify your list too. So if you want to add people, so for example, the system does not automatically have vendors as a type of group. So I added vendors on mine, but you can add to the groups here. So these are all just part of the 11 sections of a contact. Next is the source of the contact. So here's where you can put where the source came from. Did it come from realtor.com? Did it come from your website? Is it a personal referral? So you can select where the lead came from. You can put some notes in there, and you can modify your list of sources as well. So let's just say you get a ton from a partnership you have with a corporation that sends you lots of business. You could put a little, you can modify your list so that that corporation is listed. I put a little hint too, that when you add your client, if you're adding somebody to this source because it was a personal referral, it's a good idea to also send your personal thank you note to the referral while you're adding them to this section of your contact page. Next, personal details. Important. When you set up your personal details, this is where you're going to add the birth dates. So what's important here is that if you followed the first part 1 of IXACT, we set it up so that if there is a birth date listed, the person is going to get a birthday email from you. So that means that if you don't check off anything, if you don't put a birth date in, nothing happens. They will not get an email from you on their birthday. However, if you do put a birthday in here, then you don't have to do anything else. The person's automatically going to get an email from you on their birthday. And then the last 2 sections are household members, and also you can leave notes, pets, hobbies, special interests. So sometimes our agents like to keep notes like favorite restaurants, pet names, things like that, so that when they're referring back to this customer and talking to this customer years from now, they have notes about that person. Once you've finished adding the contact, immediately that contact is going to be over on this right-hand side. And I told you this page, this little contact database is always there. It's always going to be there with your add button, and you can search. So that person will automatically show up in the directory as soon as you've completed adding the contacts to the directory. Also, once you're in the contact, so right now I'm inside the contact because my contact's name was Happy Buyer. So once I'm in the contact, each contact has all these little tabs. I can go and add or delete stuff. Right at the top, I can get the buyer's name and phone number. So I could call them if I wanted to, or email them. Also, there is a edit contact section. So right here, I can edit. So let's just say when I added the contact, I didn't have their birthday, but now I know their birthday. Then I could go here and add their birthday. Next, I'm still inside my contacts, and I noted a moment ago that at the top, there's all these tabs while I'm inside the contacts. By clicking on the Keep in Touch tab, you can see all the campaigns that this person is set up for. Because when we did our original setup in part 1 of our IXACT program, we set it up so that certain things happen automatically. If we put a move-in date, then automatically the person's going to get an anniversary email on their move-in anniversary each year. If we put in a birth date, automatically they're going to get a birthday email. Also, the way we set it up is that everybody in our entire list is going to get a newsletter on once a month. So once you're in the contact, if you click on this Keep in Touch, you could see all the Keep in Touch campaigns that we've already set the person up for. That way, if you wanted to deactivate them from a particular campaign, that's where you could do that. So for example, I'm inside the Keep in Touch campaign right now for Happy Buyer, the person I just added to my database. And you'll see that they've automatically set this Happy Buyer up for a birthday email, because that's what I told the system to do. If I want to deactivate, there's a little button there that I can press and it'll say deactivate. As well, you'll see that it's telling me this person's going to get my email, my monthly e-newsletter, which I say again, why not? You want everybody in your database to get your e-newsletter. But if there's, for some reason, I did not want this person to get it, I could just go there and unclick it. So this is right within one contact. If you click on Keep in Touch, you could see all of the campaigns that this person is set up to receive. Also, I wanted to note, in the first part of today's program, we talked about automated Keep in Touch campaigns. What we didn't cover is there's another type of campaign that you can set people up for. One of the things we added in the last 2 months was a first-time homebuyer campaign. This is an email campaign for first-time homebuyers, where every few days, if you have a home buyer that you're working with, every few days for 60 days, the person will get an email from you. If you want to set somebody up, you just added Happy Buyer into your database, and you now want to make sure Happy Buyer gets the 60-day first-time homebuyer email campaign. Then you would just go, we're still under the Keep in Touch section within the Happy Buyer contact. So you're in the contact Happy Buyer, you go to Keep in Touch tab, and then you'll scroll down to activity plans. You click on assign a new activity plan, and we have 2 activity plans you can choose from. Do not choose the Lair Holiday campaign. We'll save that for another class. It's a very complicated campaign. However, you may want to add the person to the Buying Secrets campaign, which is great for first-time home buyers. So you click on that. I want to add this person to my Buying Secrets campaign. And then it shows them all the emails that the person is going to get. So by the way, you can click on any of those just to look at the emails or to change the emails. And as you can see, you can also change the dates on which the person is going to get the emails. But once you're happy and you see all the emails that the person will get, so it's called the 12 Secrets campaign, but it's basically every few days, over 60 days, that the person will get an email from you. So this is really good. Like if you meet somebody at an open house, put them into the first-time buyer campaign. It's also good for like OpCity. If you have OpCity or Zillow leads, like those are first-time buyers often, so that it's a high-touch campaign for the first couple months that you're getting to know the person. So once you've clicked on them and you feel comfortable with those emails, you click Assign Plan and create selected tasks. And now that person is set up to receive not only a birthday email, because we put a birthday in there, they'll get the e-newsletter once a month because we automatically set them up for that. They will not get the home anniversary because we did not put a home anniversary in there, but if I had, the person would automatically get that. This person is also going to get the first time buyer campaign. So every few days, over 60 days, they're going to get a new secret to buying a home. And then also that person was set up that anytime a mass email goes out, like if I get a new listing and I send out the mass email from my layer brochure, for example, that person is going to get it. So that's a lot of communication. That's how you make sure you don't lose customers. That person is going to hear from you at least once a month, every single month. I want to also just quickly cover the business directory because I think this is an untapped resource. A business directory is a directory of all the people that you like to do business with. And that's two types of people. One is you have certain types of people you do business with on every real estate transaction. Attorneys, title companies, mortgage people, home inspectors, anybody that is involved in a real estate transaction. So you have those types of businesses that you refer to. But often as real estate agents, we have other types of businesses we refer all the time as well, because we want to be a resource to our customers. So we refer landscapers, painters, HVAC, you name it. It could be anything. And a business directory is a great way to organize all that information into a nice searchable database and to create a booklet of all your favorite vendors that you can share with buyers and sellers, etc. So I feel every agent should have their own business directory. Number one, it helps you better control the transaction. So when you have a new buyer you're working with and you say, listen, I want to make sure that this transaction is as smooth as possible. So I'm going to send you my business directory. These are all the best mortgage, title, insurance. I'm giving you the best of the best. So I recommend that you choose somebody in that business directory. Secondly, by having a business directory, you become an ongoing resource for clients even after closing. You want to encourage people to keep calling you after the deal is closed. Like, hey, when you need a painter or you need a landscaper or snowplower or anything, I'm the person that you should be calling because I have this phenomenal business directory of the best people that I work with. I can refer you someone. Third, the business directory allows you to promote the business of your vendors and ask them to do the same. So every vendor on your list, and as you work on this, you should have more than 100 vendors that you refer out throughout a year. Those 100 vendors should also be referring you. So you want to make sure you remind them regularly that they're in your business directory and that you refer them business, and the expectation is that they would do the same for you. And then four, offer your clients the ability to promote their businesses too. That's the last upside to a business directory. Imagine being on a listing appointment and your client owns a landscaping business. That in addition to all the great services and tools you can offer that person as part of your regular real estate services, to also say, listen, I have a database of 700 people that come to me on a regular basis when they're looking for a business referral, and I'd love to include you in my business directory. So lots of reasons why every agent should have their own business directory. Every person who is part of your business directory should also be a contact within your database, like somebody that you're marketing to as well. So you're marketing to them, you're helping them grow their business, and you're also asking that they do the same for you. So how do we use the business directory within IXACT? Let's take a look. We're going back to the contact section. So all I've done here is I've added a contact. Many of you guys know Bob Gallagher from Ross Mortgage. So I use him as an example here to show you how I added him into my business directory. I go to add contact. So just like I went through the whole process a minute ago to show you how to add a contact, the add contact button on the right-hand side of your screen, it's on every single screen in IXACT. So click add contact. And then the first, it has main contact. So we said there's 11 sections of a contact. The first section is the main contact info. So we start with Bob Gallagher. I put in his name, his mobile phone number, his work phone number, and then his email address. And yeah, I want Bob to get all my emails. So I'm going to add him to my email list as well. You can uncheck that. So if you don't want that vendor to get your emails, you can take them off, but why would you? Next, you want to scroll down to the work details section. So we already said there's 11 sections of each contact. You don't have to fill out every section of this contact, but for the business directory, you must go to the work details section of the contact. And there you'll put in, I put in Ross Mortgage, their address, city, state, and zip. I put in their web address. And then I assigned a business type. So I put, he's a mortgage broker. You can modify your list too. So if there's a vendor type on there that you don't have, you can add it. So I put in that he is a mortgage broker. And then I had to check the box to include him in the business directory. That means I want him in my business directory. So the difference between a regular contact and a business directory contact is that button right there. That means if you want your contact added to the business directory, you have to go into the contact, go to work details, and then just press that button, include in business directory. And I mentioned you can modify the types, but there's a million types of businesses in there, but you can add more if you want to. And then I put him as a contact status. I just put he was a non-client, business to business. And then I added him to my group as a vendor. And by the way, vendor was not an option. So I had to modify my list. So I wanted to have a group of within my database of just vendors, and Bob would be on that list. So I went in and I modified my list to create a vendor. Once you do all that, just click save. And now I'm still inside my contact. I'm going to go to business directory. So I'm inside Bob Gallagher as a contact. And then I see all these. I have contact profile, keep in touch, social intelligence. I'm going to click on business directory. And the reason I do that is if I want to add a little bit more information about the business, I would do it under this tab, this business directory tab. So there, let me add, let's just say I want to add Bob's mortgage processor. I could add her here. I can add a description of the company. I can add notes, etc. Anything that I want showing up in that business directory. So if that, you would go there only if you want to add some more information. So once all of that info is added, how do I generate a business directory? In order to generate my PDF, my booklet, my own directory of the people I recommend, I go to the left-hand side of my screen and click on business directory. So over on the left-hand side, my menu, I go click on business directory. It then lets me search. The reason it lets me do this is if I don't search, it'll just show everybody I have in my business directory, which it might be cool. Like, let's say you wanted to give out you want to give a booklet of all of your vendors, then you don't have to include anything in your search and just print your directory. But you could also, let's just say somebody wanted a recommendation of house painters. Then you could go into business type, or you could do a keyword search painter and pull all of your painters, and it'll just print like a one-page sheet of all the companies that you recommend that are painters. So once you do your search, it'll narrow down all of those people into your directory, and then you click on print directory and it makes you this PDF directory. It's like your own little yellow pages book. And then you could email it or print it or have them at open houses or bring to listing appointments. The bigger that contact directory, that business directory gets, the more valuable you are, in my opinion. So it should be something that you bring as part of your listing presentation, etc. Okay, we're right at the end of the program, so I only can cover a couple more items. I want to say thank you to everybody who stayed on for such a long program. This has been a two-part program, both beginner and advanced IXACT. And again, I'll mention again, there's still a lot of stuff we haven't covered, which will have to be part of a third program. But I do want to slightly cover a couple things on lead capture before we end today's program. So to get to the lead capture section of IXACT, you'll want to go up to your user profile, which is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Click on your user profile. And then you get all these tabs, which we've seen before. But one of those tabs says lead capture. So go to the lead capture tab. And one of the cool pieces that I think everybody should be utilizing as part of IXACT is the lead capture form, so that you can always be collecting names and email addresses. So go scroll down to the lead capture. You're on the lead capture tab. You're going to scroll to the bottom of the page, and it's going to say build your own lead capture form. It's right here, lead capture, build your own form. So that's under the lead capture tab. So you go there, you get to title it whatever you want. Get my real estate news, for example. So you update your form. I like to always include my email header. That's the one we made in part 1 of our IXACT training program, that custom email header I use for everything. I think it's more beautiful than the standard header. So click off, include your custom email header. It's pretty simple. It takes 2 minutes to create this, and then you save and preview it. And now I have this cool little page where I can share the link to this page, and it will basically say, tell people, please complete the form below. And they put in first name, last name, email address, home phone, mobile phone, etc. And then all of that information that's captured goes right into IXACT. So I don't have to go input them in. So to get the link, I'm still under the lead capture, build your own form page. I go to this little copy button and I copy that link. And that link is to my own lead capture page. Where would I put that lead capture form? I would share it on my Facebook page, my website, my email signature line. I'd constantly share it everywhere to say, hey, don't forget to sign up for my really cool Stacy's Monthly Marketing News or Stacy's Monthly Real Estate Newsletter for great information about what's happening in the real estate market. Also, under the same tab, same lead capture tab, you'll want to set up your lead settings. So you just set it up, email notifications, text notifications, adding to contact groups, adding your source of contacts. So you set it up, and basically you, under this section, you're just setting up IXACT to say when a lead comes in to my site, either from an integration, from an app, or from that lead capture page I just created, what do I want happening with that lead? What email campaigns do I want that person to start getting? Because this is about set it and forget it. I don't want to have to go in, log in, and now tell the system to put them in this campaign, this campaign, this campaign. The way we've set it up is, like, if somebody comes in, I want that person just getting the email campaign right off the bat, the e-newsletter campaign. So here's where you could set up your lead settings. Also, you do kind of want to set it up so that you get, in my opinion, a text notification when a new lead comes in, so you can kind of pay attention to who's following you and who's looking for information, because that might be a hot prospect. Last, I just want to briefly cover integrations. There are two ways to set up lead integrations. What lead integrations are is, let's just say that you are just checking the time. I know we only have 3 more minutes. Let's just say that you are receiving leads from outside vendors like Realtor.com, Zillow. There's hundreds of potential places where you could be getting leads from daily. If you are getting leads, you want your lead platform to integrate with IXACT, so that when the lead comes in to the lead provider, that they're also whoops, we just got a weird countdown on our thing. I don't know where that came from. So you want the lead to not only come into the lead system, but you also want it to come into IXACT so that they're getting onto your campaigns automatically. IXACT has tons of integrations already set up. So like Zillow, 5 Street, there's tons where you can set it up that if a lead comes in, the lead is automatically going into IXACT. So basically, in order to get there, there's 2 places you may need to visit to get your integration set up properly. First is go to your profile in the upper right hand corner and then click on user profile, which is the very first tab. If you scroll to the very bottom of that user profile tab, it shows you API key. That API key, for many of the vendors you're working with, for example, Zillow, you'll have to log into your Zillow and go to the app section or the integration section, and you'll have to cut this. So copy this API key and put it into the back end of your Zillow, so that when leads come into your Zillow, they automatically also end up in IXACT, so you can put them on the campaigns. Some of the integrations will require that you go set up an account with Zapier. If that happens, I say that on anything that has to do with integrations, if you get stuck, call IXACT and they will walk you through it. Zapier is a system that if the lead company does not integrate directly with IXACT, the lead company will usually integrate with Zapier, and Zapier does integrate with IXACT. So it's just a way to make it so that you can integrate with just about any lead program. If it's more advanced and you don't understand how to do it, call IXACT support and they'll just walk you through setting it up. One last place I just wanted to point out is if you go to lead capture, this is still under your profile, go to lead capture. If you go to that lead capture button, you can go, if you scroll down, there's a lead capture email. And you take that unique lead capture email, and some of the companies that you are trying to integrate with have it set up so they send you an email notification when a new lead comes in. If you replace that email address, so it's not your email address for the lead notification, it's this email address, then that lead will instead go directly into your IXACT database. And then you could set up your notifications in IXACT. So IXACT then notifies you that you just got a new lead. So that's 2 different ways of possibly integrating some of the different lead programs. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. I want to, let's see, it looks like we have a chat. Thank you, Emily, for joining us. Yes, hopefully everybody can build their pot of gold together in 2022. Tons of information. I will send out the recording today as well. I'll send out the slides. So for those of you that just want to print out the slides and follow it, during this quiet time, this is the time of year to set up your database so that you can begin building your pot of gold. But if you do everything we covered in part 1 and everything we covered in part 2, you are well on your way to a fantastic 2022. You are using your IXACT system to like 80% plus of the capacity of the program. So you're in great shape. And if you need help getting any of it set up, please do not. Oh, Michelle, on the header, if you watch the beginning of this, it shows, we walk you right through how to set up the header. The system has a fantastic way to set up your header. So right at the beginning of the program, when I send it out to you, I'll let you know where in the program to watch for that. Okay, no worries, Michelle. We'll make sure, I'll tell you where to watch so that you can set up the header. But the system makes it super easy to do that. And we cover that in part 1 of today's program. And with that, we'll get everything out to you guys. And I want to thank you for spending so much time with me on a holiday week and wishing you a happy new year. Thanks everyone for joining me today.